the early bird gets the word daily devotion on this Monday morning. Sorry I missed you guys on Friday. And somebody said, well, I guess you were sick. I said, no, I was just a little bit lazy. But here we are on Monday morning. So thank you for joining us. Please remember to share this on Facebook. It's you that multiplies the message when you share this on Facebook. So let's go ahead and look at the scripture this morning that we'll be talking about. And of course, Monday, I always do Monday motivation and thinking about discipline, devotion, and our mindset many times in living this Christian life and walking in the way of the Lord. So looking at the scripture today is, and you can see the title, Are You Thinking What I'm Thinking? Are you thinking what I'm thinking? It's out of 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 3, 4, and 5, which says, Be with me. It is a very small thing that I should be judged of you, or man's judgment. Yea, I judge not my own self, for I know nothing by myself. Yet I am not hereby justified, but he that judgeth me is the Lord. And then verse 5 says, Therefore judge nothing before the time, until the Lord come, and both will bring to light the hidden things of darkness, and will make manifest the counsels of the hearts, and then shall every man praise of God. Me and my son on my way to work, I work in Manchester, and he goes to school in Pelham. We live in Grootley, so we got a little bit of a drive. And last year we started listening to the Chronicles of Narnia as we go on our way to school and work, the audiobooks. And then now we've been going through the Lord of the Rings. Of course, C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia, is a Christian author, and J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote the Lord of the Rings, is a Christian author. Both books have Christian overtones in them, and they're both clean. And so we're listening to those. But as you get into a book and you're listening to that, the author, a good author, a storyteller, gets you involved in that story, and they get you involved with the characters in that story. And you get pulled in. And so, for example, the Lord of the Rings and Frodo and the Ring and Sam and all those people that you start to identify with them, and you start to, because he's telling you this story about these characters, and you identify with them, and you start rooting for them and wanting them to win and accomplish the task that they're after. But the ones that's against them, the author paints a picture of them and tells you a story about them, that they become the villain, like the evil Sauron, and he's trying to take over all of Middle Earth. And you start to root against that person. You say, what does this have to do with the devotion of the scripture you just read? Well, I said, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because I want to talk about our thought lives this morning and how we write stories in our mind, and we create characters that don't exist. But the people that we create that character for does exist. What do I mean? God convicted me of this just a few months ago. There was a person, and they had a dissenting opinion of an opinion that I had. They didn't agree. And the way that they presented themselves in a certain moment wasn't loving and hospitable, I guess you could say, or at least in my mind. And so I was the next day driving to work, and I start thinking about this person, and I start thinking about their motives. Why are they doing this? And I started telling myself, and by the time I got to work, I had this whole story worked out in my mind, in my head, of why this person was doing what they were doing, why they were dissenting, why they didn't want to do this, why were they being difficult. And the Lord convicted me. And he says, how do you know that? How do you know that somebody and what they're thinking, their thoughts? And in that scripture, Paul said, don't be judging others in your mind. In other words, don't write a story about somebody else and what their heart and their intent is, because we don't know that. And so many times we think, are you thinking what I'm thinking? But here's the thing. So many times people go, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, when that situation comes up and that time comes, really, until you're in that moment of truth, you don't even know how you would respond. I don't even know how I would respond in certain situations until it happens. So how can I try to put myself in somebody else's shoes, especially when I'm painting them as a villain? Because if I paint them as a villain and I tell a story in my mind that they're the villain of my story, then they will be. But if I go with an attitude of gratefulness and thankfulness and forgiveness and love for Jesus Christ, then I can see them in a different light. Try to see them as Christ sees them instead of trying to think of what they may be thinking. It won't work, and it doesn't work. And I encourage you to see people through the eyes of Christ. And how did God see people? He seen people that he loved them. It was his creation that was a fallen creation. But while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. So don't try to think about what somebody else is thinking. You can't figure it out. If you really want to know and it bothers you that much, the best thing to do is just go sit down and have a conversation. God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please remember to share this on Facebook. It's you that multiplies the message when you share this on Facebook. And Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Central Time for another Early Bird Gets the Word Daily Devotion. God bless.